Welcome back, America. Lisa Nelson is the CEO of the American Legislative Exchange Council. Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Great. How are you, Hugh?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to the gala that the American Legislative Exchange Council is coming. I want you to warn Danny Perez to put on his asbestos suit, because the only reason I'm doing this is that I never master. I'm a terrible MC because I tackle people who go long. But I get to open up, right? And Danny Perez is going to be sitting right there, the future speaker of the Florida legislature. I get to open fire on him with my Gatling gun, right?
You absolutely do. As master of ceremonies, we've kind of handed over the reins to you, but he becomes speaker designate, I think, in a couple of weeks down in Florida, which I will be at his designation ceremony. So it's very exciting.
Well, he's going to come with a few scars if we have the gala then. I have been urging every state legislator who listens to this program to join the American Legislative Exchange Council. And I've told them why, but why should they join, Lisa?
Well, that must be the reason we've got so many new members this year. I think we're closing in on 1,000 new members this year. And the reason they should join ALEC is if they have an affinity towards limited government, free markets, and making sure that the states have the power to do what they see fit for their constituents, then that place for them is ALEC. That should be their home. We've developed model policy for legislators all over the country. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter. You can take the parameters of what we develop, working with people across the country, and then make sure that it fits for your state. But I think legislators who don't have a lot of staff, don't have a lot of support in their state capitals, are looking to ALEC for that kind of backup and that kind of ideological support, where they know that they can get good policy solutions.
On my benighted journey down to your last conference, where I spent the night in Newark, Robert Oth is a new member, and he was telling me he joined for that reason. I'm just curious, where are most of your new members coming from, red states or blue states?
We've been recruiting from all of the states. I would say that there has been such a massive turnover of legislators, and the same thing that you're seeing in the federal government, we're seeing in the state governments, where there's a huge, 40 to 60% turnover in legislators in the last couple of election cycles. But predominantly red states, as legislators are getting focused and getting ready for 2024 election. They're getting ready for to file their policies, and we're working with them to make sure they're prepared.
Now, Lisa, I know you do model policies on a lot of things like name, image, and likeness and stuff. But yesterday, Montgomery County, Maryland, wanted to reintroduce masks into the schoolroom. Does ALEC have a model policy on masking and school closures if COVID comes back?
We don't have a model policy on that, but in fact, I was just talking with Senator J.D. Vance's office last night about what's happening today in the Maryland School District and the mask policy. We will be actively talking about that issue. And in fact, during the COVID crisis, and I heard you talking about it with Vice President Pence earlier, but during that crisis, ALEC participated in a coalition called Save Our Country, and working with other organizations that wanted to keep schools open, keep masks off of kids' faces, keep businesses open. We were very active in that. And I think that that's a good lesson for legislators to understand, is that they don't have to take kind of the word on high from some federal government stance. They can develop the right solution for their locality.
Well, this is my pitch to people about ALEC when they're thinking about joining. New stuff happens all the time, like name, image, and likeness and COVID, stuff for which there is no model policy. But what do you do at ALEC when something new and big affecting all the 50 states happens? How do you organize a response and guidance?
That's what's so interesting, is it really is kind of from the ground up. The legislators come to us and say, here's what we're hearing. We heard that many years ago on the fentanyl crisis, and started building out a plan and model policy to try to preclude fentanyl from coming over. And I will say a great example right now is the ESG, where we saw that first. ALEC was one of the first organizations that was kind of canceled by the left, saying that we were either climate deniers or something else, and that people should not join and that they should leave the organization. And we have galvanized kind of a movement, working with the treasurers around the country, working with other organizations to make sure that we keep politics out of pensions, and making sure that ESG and the criteria for investments is solely for the shareholder value.
Now, I want to close with richstatespoorstates.org because I think it's indispensable for anyone who's moving anywhere, anytime. Do you have any idea how many copies you have put out of richstatespoorstates.org?
We have 16 years of Rich States, Poor States, working with Dr. Arthur Laffer, Steve Moore, and Jonathan Williams as our authors. And the great thing about that is that we can now compare and contrast what policies work, what ALEC model policies work. We actually have a calculator on our website that you can go to as a legislator and say, if I try this in my state, will it move my state up or down? So that's a terrific, kind of way to figure out what's the best thing for your state. We judge and rank on economic outlook to project into the future. And I will say that Utah has been number one for all 15 years that they've been.
But Florida's catching, and Ohio will be close soon, Lisa Nelson. ALEC.org for everyone who's on the fence about it. My favorite sponsor, ALEC.org. Go to richstatespoorstates.org, get the booklet. Go to ALEC.org and join Lisa. Thank you. Don't go anywhere, America. I'll be back tomorrow on the next Hugh Hewitt Show.